Are you trying to get a 70% rating for your mental health condition, but you're not sure what symptoms you need to be endorsing or show to the VA to get that rating? Welcome to VA Made Easy. I'm VA-accredited attorney and U.S. Army combat veteran Ed Farmer. Today, we're going to discuss examples of symptoms you should be endorsing in order to acquire that 70% rating from the VA. I'm not going to sit here and break down the VA diagnostic code for mental health. I'm going to give you some real life, easy to remember examples that you could use in order to obtain that 70% rating. If you've been denied your claim, visit me at vetlawoffice.com. I provide zealous advocacy. I'll prep you for your CMP exams. I'll help you get buddy statements. If you need help, schedule a free consultation at vetlawoffice.com. But for now, let's get into it. So when it comes to mental health ratings, all mental health conditions are rated the same. What it really breaks down to is how your condition affects you in a social setting and how it affects you in an occupational setting. When it comes to 70%, the VA wants to see that your symptoms affect you in all aspects of life, socially, occupationally, family, other relationships. You need to show that your symptoms are affecting all those areas. So let's go over some of the most common symptoms for 70%. Let's start with depression. In order to obtain a 70% rating for depression, you need to be endorsing nearly continuous depressions. So you're depressed nearly every day. And it's not just that you're depressed every day, it's that the depression is affecting your life. It's affecting all these aspects of your life. So maybe you're too depressed some days to get out of bed, and therefore you're missing work. Or the days you do go on work, you're having trouble concentrating, you're having trouble focusing, and you're just not getting the job done like you should be. You're getting reprimanded at work. Your career just isn't going the way it should be because of your depression. And then days you're not going to work. Maybe you have that room you isolate in. You isolate in the bedroom or in the garage, and you spend most of your time there, despite your family who lives with you also being in the house. And because you're isolating, that's affecting your relationship with your spouse. It's affecting your relationship with your kids. You certainly aren't going out and partying and socializing. You're unable to maintain and keep relationships. For many folks, the depression is so severe, you stop caring about your appearance. So you're not changing your clothes. You're not taking showers for days on end. These are examples of what the VA is looking for to qualify for that 70% rating. Maybe in your instance, panic attacks are more prominent. And again, they want to see not only that the panic attacks are nearly continuous, so you're having them every day, but they're also interfering with you socially and occupationally. So if you suffer from panic attacks, you may have issues at work itself. When it comes to stressful work environment, that may exacerbate your panic attacks. Maybe you leave work early because you have panic attacks while you're there. And you certainly can't leave the house to socialize. You're not going to want to go to movies or parties, and maybe you wait until later at night to go grocery shopping when nobody else is around. Many people who meet 70% criteria have impaired impulse control. And what that means is you have a short temper. The little things set you off. And usually what the VA wants to see is that the short temper is followed up with some sort of physical act. So you get pissed off and you throw something, or you punch a hole in the wall, or sometimes you maybe even punch somebody. And certainly if you're flying off the handle at work, you're not going to be doing very well at work. You're probably flying off the handle of the general public. You're probably not making friends that way. These are all examples of symptoms that a person who meets 70% criteria have. Let's talk about suicidal ideation. It's another major symptom of someone who meets the 70% criteria for a mental health condition. Now, a lot of veterans are afraid to talk about suicidal ideation. They're either embarrassed or they're afraid that they're going to get locked up, or they're afraid their guns are getting taken away. I'm telling you, I've been doing this 15 years. I've handled thousands of clients. I've never had a client who got locked up or their guns taken away because they endorsed suicidal ideation during a claim or exam. The only time I could see that happen is if the examiner thought you were going to go home and actually hurt yourself. But having thoughts like, sometimes I wish I never woke up. Sometimes I wish I would be better off if I wasn't here. Those are thoughts that people with mental health issues have, but doesn't mean they're going to act on it. So I would talk about suicidal ideation, and for God bid, if you do think you're going to actually hurt yourself, please get some help. Call the VA suicide number and get some assistance. But endorsing it in itself should not cause you any problems, except to help you obtain the 70% rating you're seeking. So you're probably wondering, well, Ed, this is all great. I understand what it takes to get a 70% rating, but how do I prove it? I always tell my clients this: the exam really makes or breaks you. So if you are going to go into that PTSD or mental health CMP exam and sit there and say nothing to the examiner, then you're looking at a denial. Those examiners rarely even look at the evidence. They really base their opinion and the severity of your condition on what you tell them during that exam. This is your time to tell that examiner everything that's going on with you from a mental health standpoint and how it's affecting your ability to work, affecting your relationship with your family, affecting everything. And I know it's embarrassing to talk to a stranger who contracts with the VA about what's going on from you from a mental health standpoint, but you really have to. Don't count on them reading the lay statements you put in the file, although I do think that's important. And that brings me to my next point. Lay statements are still important, even if the examiners do not consider them, because if they don't consider them and you don't get what you want, then that's a basis to get a new exam. So write your own statement. Get a statement from your spouse. Get a statement from people you work with. Get statements from people who are capable of observing you from a mental health standpoint and are familiar with your symptoms. And lastly, not everyone has treatment records, but treatment records certainly go a long way, especially if what you report in the treatment records coincide with what you're telling the examiner in the CMP exam. Now, if you're getting treatment and you're like, oh, I'm doing great and I'm fine, yeah, probably shouldn't be submitting those treatment records in order to support your claim. And that does it, guys. If you need help with your VA disability claim, visit me at vetlawoffice.com. Free consultations. There's no fee unless I win. But for now, keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing. And as always, you have the power to change your VA.